costumes to candy, maybe a few scary movies sprinkled in. But something we might not think about is how it affects kids with anxiety.
It can be especially tough for littler kids who might not be able to tell what's real and what's not. Dr. Marcia Slattery is the head of the UW Anxiety Center, and she joins us with some advice this morning. Good morning.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. It's always good to see you. Yeah. So we want to talk in particular about younger kids because in their brains, you wanted to kind of talk about there's no kind of concept of the difference between fantasy and reality.
Exactly. From that, at that developmental stage, they don't have the wiring, if you will, yet to really know what's real and what's not real. So all of these scary things that they're seeing are real to them. Things that otherwise we tell them, don't worry, they don't exist. Monsters and witches and all of that. Suddenly they're surrounded by it. So their brain has trouble figuring out what to do with that. So we have to be cognizant of that.
Now, this applies for both parents and, you said, the folks who are handing out candy this trick-or-treating season. Is there anything they should be keeping in mind when they're doing that?
I think for people that are handing out candy, remember that, you know, part of Halloween is scaring and being dressed up and the fantasy part of it. But remember that 1 in 4 or 1 in 5 kids will have anxiety. So how they experience the trick-or-treating experience may be very different than what we intend. And we have to be cognizant of that as well, right? So that it's one thing to be afraid of costumes and things like that, but particularly be aware of that scaring someone suddenly and purposefully, that activates a whole separate startle fear response in our brain and our body when we have that increased heart rate and breathing, and it surges our body with stress hormones, etc. And that especially can be really difficult and really stressful for kids in general, all of us in general, right? But especially someone with anxiety.
You were saying too, masks can be really tough for these kiddos because of they don't know what's going on underneath.
Exactly. So know that if you have a mask and you're at the door and you're handing the candy out, that can often be the most difficult because they just can't read the facial cues. They don't know who's behind there. So oftentimes, especially for younger kids, what can be helpful is if you're going to have the mask on when they initially come to the door, then just take it off and smile and add some of the warmth part of it and the kindness part of it so that they can balance it out better.
Now, is there something that parents can be doing before they head out for trick-or-treating to calm their kids' nerves?
Yeah, it's a great question. What often helps is sort of plan ahead of time what you're going to do. Talk with them about what the route is going to be. Talk with them about what to say at the door. Talk with them about things that may come up. And importantly, when they get back, have something planned, either like having a pizza party with them or some other special thing that they're going to have so that they can also talk through what happened. Debriefing, so to speak, and processing what did happen, even if there were things that were scary, can really help them understand and process it better, especially right before going to bed. And of course, during that obligatory sorting and trading process that we know happens with the candy as well.
Because we don't want to block these kids off entirely from this fun tradition. So there's got to be some towing the line here.
Exactly. You sort of have a dial of how much fear you want to dial up or down, right? But you have to balance it with the fun part of it, right? And the joyous part of it and silly part of it. And that's what we're not very good at. We don't want to overdo on the fear part, but also make sure that they enjoy it. And especially for younger kids, keep the fear component of it a little bit lower. And if they do incorporate it, again, talk it through, especially once they get home.
Some really interesting information and a great conversation to be having. All right, Dr. Slattery, thanks so much for joining us on this Halloween morning.
Great to be here.
Yeah, happy Halloween. 6:18 right now. A Packers player is leaving the land of dairy to head to my home state.